Okay, let's get started. Thank you everyone for joining today. I've been holding these monthly webinars to provide more detailed information, more accurate information, because I've been as I do these consultations almost every day, I'm noticing there's just a lot of misinformation out there. And so anyway, I've been holding these monthlies as well as lives. And I hopefully these have been helpful if you are considering the EB-1A visa. Okay, let's move to the next slide. What you will learn today, you will learn information about each of the 10 criteria required for the EB-1A visa. I will provide additional insight on each one. And then my hope is after the webinar, you will have a much clearer idea if you qualify for the visa. I will be taking Q&A at the end of the webinar. So please limit your questions to the end. And unfortunately, I cannot answer any case-specific questions. I can just answer general questions. And then finally, I have to put out the disclaimer that this presentation does not constitute legal advice, and we cannot guarantee any outcomes. Okay. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let me introduce myself. My name is Priya Alagiri. I am the founder of the Alagiri Immigration Law Firm. We are a boutique law firm, meaning we're highly specialized. We are high touch, I would say. We only focus on a particular area. We're kind of a niche within a niche within a niche. So immigration law, employment based, EB-1A, NIW, and I spend a lot of time, and my team spends a lot of time researching this, the updates, what's happening in USCIS, what's happening in the courts with these kinds of cases. So we are up to date on, every last minute change or addition to the requirements. As I often say in my consultations, my goal is to help you get your green card. And it's unwavering. That's what our whole team focuses on. Next. Okay, so this is, as you can see on the, those are my accomplishments, kind of in bullet points. I think though, for me, those are all, accomplishments, my background. But the reason that I practice this area of immigration law is personal. I come from a family of immigrants. I have lived this journey, how it's, unsettling, stressful, moving back and forth because of visa issues. So while I have a lot of experience in this area, the backstory is that, it's personal. So I understand your journey. So let's move forward. Okay, so just by way of background, for the EB-1A, you must demonstrate extraordinary ability in one of 5 areas. So the sciences, the arts, education, business, or athletics. I think it would, at this time, you can share your area of work, your industry. That would be helpful to know what industry fields that you work in. Okay, moving forward. So for the EB-1A, if you have one highly exceptional, world-renowned achievement, as I've listed, like an Olympic medal, an Oscar, a Nobel Prize, then that would be sufficient to qualify for the EB-1A. Most people don't have that. So if you don't have that world-renowned, over-the-top accomplishment, you have to meet 3 out of the following 10 criteria. The first is awards, receipt of nationally or internationally recognized awards for excellence. So I think what's really important is to actually, follow the words in the criteria. Those are actually regulations and legally required. So if you see the plain words, it says nationally recognized awards. So that means school awards generally would not count. It should be, an open, competitive process. It doesn't have to be national, but it should be open beyond your school or beyond your place of employment. Should be awarded to you based on excellence in your field, and there should be criteria that you must meet, a selective criteria to be granted this award. Okay, Second, publish material about you in professional or trade publications or other major media. So again, as it says in the criteria, the material must be about you. And I see this time and time again that applicants will submit, press or things like that, interviews with maybe the CEO of the company talking about what you've accomplished. That is great. And that helps your case, but it doesn't fulfill this criteria in particular, because it should be about you, and you can be talking about your accomplishments. And media includes podcasts, radio, video, and other online types of media. Okay, let's move forward to number 3. Okay, membership in associations, which demand outstanding achievements. So again, it's what qualifies as membership and what qualifies as associations in the field. An association is a membership kind of organization in your field. I see IEEE all the time if you're in tech. The membership should be based on selection criteria. So joining by making a payment would not count. And it should be an association where that is known in your field. And like I said here in this bullet, there are certain number of these criteria that we can be somewhat creative in how we define it. So association, this criteria is one of them, and how we define association. Next, number 4. Okay, asked to judge the work of others. And this is another one that has some flexibility and in what counts as judging. So of course, like peer reviews would count, serving on editorial boards, but what also could count is reviewing the work of your subordinates, if you have any, so where there is room to be creative and what counts as judging. Number 5. Okay, this one, I think this is probably one of the most important criteria if you're applying and you have original contributions, because most of the RFEs that I've seen over the years is on this particular criterion, and most of the RFEs can be avoided. So this criterion has 2 elements, and oftentimes, applicants don't clearly lay out the 2 elements so that immigration officer can understand it. The first element is that you must have had a novel, unique breakthrough achievement in your field. And second is that you must show how this accomplishment or achievement has had some kind of influence in the field, some kind of impact, how it has advanced the field. Sometimes it's transformed the field. So that second part is really important, because they won't grant you this criterion if you don't show those 2 things. And the way you would show significance in the field or impact is, as I've shown, publications, proof that your work is being implemented. Maybe other people are using your work as a foundation. So yeah, I do want to emphasize the second element of that criterion that a lot of people miss. Okay, let's move on to the 6th criteria, authorship, publications. This is a very common, almost everyone's heard about this criterion. So, but not everyone needs it. So publications, if it's not something that's inherently part of your occupation, you wouldn't need it. And very, very often, I would say more than not, we file really successful applications without this criterion. So I get this question a lot. Do I need publications? I don't have publications. Or if you have publications, it's not cited enough. That it really depends what occupation and fields you're in. Like I said, if you're in the tech field industry, it's not as common really to have publications. So that doesn't hurt your case in any way. So, but if you have publications, it matters where you publish them, what venue, what journal. Conference presentations could qualify as well under this criteria. So also, if you've, blogs wouldn't count. If it's something that hasn't undergone some kind of review process or selection process, that typically would not count as a publication. Okay. Number 7. Okay, so this is another one as well that has multiple elements to it. And when I do, consultations for applicants who've gotten RFEs and want, a second opinion, again, this is another one where I see that this criterion hasn't been laid out in the application in the most appropriate way. So of course, performance in a leading or critical role. So those are leading and critical are actually 2 different things, and I see them mushed together all the time, and immigration officers get confused. They don't understand it because you're, using the word leading and critical, like back and forth and kind of mushed together. So it should be separate. Like leading means oversight of people. Typically people like your managerial roles, your supervisory roles, and it kind of ties together with what I mentioned about judging, where your, performance reviews would count as judging. So that's what leading typically means. Critical is something separate. You could have a critical role in your organization, but not have any direct reports. You could just be functioning on your own, but really with something highly essential to the company. So it's two separate things. And I would definitely, if you're applying, keep those separate, because I see the immigration officers always get very confused with this. And then finally, of course, the third part is that it must be in a distinguished organization. And I have, again, done consultations with highly, extraordinary individuals, and they want to work in a startup, or the startup is stealth. I would definitely talk to an immigration lawyer about whether that startup could qualify as a distinguished organization. Okay, number 8, commanding a high salary. So most people, no matter where you are in the country, can qualify, can meet this criterion, because you have to be strategic in choosing what is your occupation. Like, who are you comparing yourself to? So it's not really your title, it's your occupation. Like, for example, hospitality, or manager, engineering manager, so we choose the occupation that fits what you do, and we strategize about who we compare it to. It's all, and we provide that information to the government. So we have really, I would say, almost all of our petitions include salary as one of the criterion. And we do not just look at strict salary, so you don't have to just look at what's on your pay stub. You could include bonuses, shares, things like that in a company. Okay, number 9. Okay, so this one and number 10 are more geared toward artists, like designers, singers, things like actors, things like that. So this one is having your work displayed at exhibitions and showcases. And if you are someone that has exhibited your work, we actually have an architect who's done this, architectural designer, something similar, and his work has been actually displayed. So it should be just like anything else with EB-1A, should be an exhibit that is highly prestigious, well known, and it should require selection criteria. Okay, number 10, the last one is your successes in the performing arts. So you would show if you perform publicly, ticket sales, news releases, press about your performances. So that was like a really brief run through of the criteria. As I mentioned, you must meet at least 3 to qualify. And what I'd like to mention also is quality matters. So It's so if you're trying to meet the judging criteria or membership and you find an organization that, I don't know, there's probably some selection process, maybe in your field, but it's not that well known, not as, prestigious. I mean, it would be tough for the officer to approve that. And just from my experience, yeah, like quality matters. So if you're publishing in a journal, try and get it placed in a journal that is known in your field. Oftentimes, like I said, I just see people trying to work on their application and just, not understanding that not understanding that the immigration officer, even though you may objectively meet the criteria, just on a whole, when they decide whether to grant your application, they will look at how accomplished, at what level you met the criteria. Okay, so let's continue on. Yeah, if you have questions, if you are interested, confused about the criteria, whether you meet the criteria, please don't hesitate to contact us. Moving forward, I think we have, yeah, so this is another thing I often say to my clients. We, as I mentioned in the beginning, we cannot ever guarantee an outcome, but I can guarantee that me and my team will work tirelessly on your behalf, as we've done over 15 years now. And then I think we have our contact information next. No, we have testimonials. Okay, so these are from people who, who we've represented, and I would say we handle almost exclusively EB-1A and IWs, and we take every single case, very personally and customize, and it's just exciting personally for me to learn about the individual, their accomplishments, and when they win, when they get their EB-1A. Finally, okay, here we go. Here is our contact information. The evaluation sessions are with me directly. And you can contact us at hello@allighierilaw.com, or you can call our office at that number.